Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to MindShifters Radio with Dr. Michael Ryce, the Forgiveness Doctor. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Hayes, and I'll be your co-host today. Michael and Jeannie are having a little bit of downtime, and we welcome everyone. We began our MindShifters Talk Radio show back in January, on January the 31st, with Tara Guy, who does the Fifth Dimensional Living on Mondays at 2 p.m. And on www.earthangelradio.com. Thank you, Carol, for getting us on this path. We feel it has really been an awesome and a privilege in order to be part of this. And instructions for how to listen online or participate in the chat room, plus all the new archive shows, can be found on our website at www.whyagI.com/mindshifterradio.php. Our call-in number is 646-200-4169, and we open the program to see if there's anyone that's out there that might have a question that we can begin with. And so I'll just check in with Amy. Again, my name is David Hayes. I am the coordinator of Heartland Retreat Center for Dr. Michael Ryce, and I've been doing his work for about 10 years. So the whole purpose of this Mind Shifter, what's the Mind Shifter program about? We have support groups throughout the country that meet regularly to train and to use this work and put this work to use in their lives. And they have the support groups in order to be able to increase the understanding and to build the brain cells around this information. So do we have any questions out there, Amy, from anyone? Have anybody on the line?
Yes. Hi, David. We do. Let's take this caller here. Hello, you're on the air?
Hello?
Hi, what's your name?
Yeah, I was actually wondering what question, do you have a preference of what question I could ask?
Do I have a question that you might ask? Well, let me ask you first. What's your name and where are you
Gabriel.
calling from?
Gabriel, I'm calling from New Mexico.
From New Mexico, okay. And spell your name for me so I can pronounce it correctly.
Gabriel.
Gabriel, okay. And your question is to me, do I have a question that can kind of like introduce you to this? Is this your first time listening?
Yeah, this is my first time listening, and I wasn't exactly sure what today's show was about, but I, have a lot of stuff going on, and so, I had a question, but I'm not sure if that's the type of question you take, or,
We take every kind of question. Where our focus is really, where we come from is kind of taking things intuitively of where things are being led today. The subject that we're going to be talking about is the Mind Shifter, and anything that's relative to the work, any question that you might have about, well, what does this mean about why is this happening to me again? What is reality? What is actuality? So we're open to any type of question. And so I invite you to go ahead and put it out there.
Okay. I've been going through some stuff, and I've been lucky to have been able to call into the other shows and get some help. And I wanted to go through this whole process of like cleansing my body, all of this stuff, but I'm not exactly sure that I'm headed in the right direction, I guess. I have been trying, spiritually speaking, I've been trying to do tarot cards to try to get my own information, and I'm not sure if I'm getting the right information. I'm not sure if I'm headed in the right direction. I know that there's beings out there that are trying to help me, but I'm not exactly sure how to like go ahead with this, like with myself. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. You know, I think everyone gets to that place, maybe daily, is that what is it that I'm supposed to be doing? What should I be doing next? Why should I be doing this?
David, can I just interrupt?
Sure.
I think Terry's on the line also. Do you want me to unmute her?
Did you say Terry is?
Yeah.
Yeah, Terry, if he wants to be on there, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Terry?
Yeah,
Terry, are you there?
I'm here. Terry's here.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
So Terry, did you have a comment about that?
No, she just picked up I was on the line and wanted to tap me in. So go ahead with your question here with your dialogue with Gabriel. Hi, Gabriel. Terry Bowen here. I'm also one of the coordinators out at Heartland. Glad to have you on the call, and I'll let David go ahead now.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, one of the things is that Terry and I are, this is our first time in doing this, and with all the technology, we're working out the bugs and how to present this. And back to what you were talking about, you know, I would imagine just like everyone else, what is it that I should be doing or could be doing or ought to be doing? And that's a real key for me to tune in that I might be coming from a place of fear about it, that there may be some anxiousness, some nervousness. And if that's the case, well, then I'm usually listening to my carbon-based memory. That is the dissociated mind, that there's something that's coming up. Remember, to get started in doing this, Gabriel, is what I would do is to, as Michael recommends, is to download some of the worksheets and just begin doing the work, the forgiveness work. And often, even opening a file with the word forgiveness can trigger and bring up lots of different feelings and emotions of anger, disappointment, blame, shame, guilt, fault, and all that. So the recommendation is to just go ahead and to put the pen to the paper and begin doing the worksheets, and then from that, it will connect you with that higher guidance. And I'm not talking about something so much that's out of the body, so much as it is that you're tapping into, that you're tuning in to that source that is within you, the soul part, so to speak, because the soul in the Aramaic language can be translated into a tuner. And so that when we tap into that tuner that we have within us for that guidance, there's where the answers are going to come through. It's not like that I can search for an answer, and usually when I'm doing that, then I've asked the wrong question. It's like to acknowledge that I've asked the wrong question, and then to just see what it is that comes up from it. So if I can ask you, have you done any of the worksheets?
No.
Yeah. So that would be my recommendation, is to go on there, and the book, you can download it free if you would like to, is to begin that way. You know, often when I talk with folks, I ask them, so how many people here, if I have an audience, how many people here know how to speak Spanish or French or Japanese? And most of the time, within there may be one or two people that can speak another language. And I asked them, so how many people you think in the next 2.5 hours are going to be able to speak a language that they've never spoken before fluently? And the truth is, no one's going to be able to. So this is about just gradually building the brain cells and the awareness of how to put this into practice. There are several tools, and we ask folks to begin with the forgiveness tool, because until I can get it, there's nothing going on. And if you look at the tool up there, it says reality. You know, this is an empowering tool, that it's a reality management, empowering through forgiveness. My reality, the perceptual output of my mind. So if my mind is putting something out there that is coming from fear or hostility, I know that I'm in my mind and not tapped into my true essence through that higher guidance. And by doing the worksheet, then you open up a frequency. You open up in your mind another way of seeing it and doing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it's on any particular area, if it's on any particular person, you can do these worksheets on any person, place, thing, past, present, or future. It makes no difference. It's about creating in the mind to discipline it in order to show you what it is that you want to see and to understand. And that word discipline, most of us, when we even hear the word discipline, it opens up files for us around discipline. There could be feelings of anger, disappointment, madness, and the word discipline in the Aramaic language means to properly teach. It has nothing to do with punishing. Yet most of us have this connected with punishing, that if I would just discipline myself, if I would just make myself do this, well, that in itself is a resistor, and we want to let go of that. So we want to learn how to change the language that we're using and implement that. So just getting started with it, that would be my recommendation, and to stay with it. Again, the mind wants to take it all on. The mind wants to figure it all out. It wants to have an answer to it. And there is no answer in that way. That demand for the answer is even creating more resistance. You can't demand it from it.
Yeah.
David, can I?
Please, go ahead.
David, I'd like to offer a couple things to Gabriel here, if this is appropriate.
Sure, absolutely.
Mr. Gabriel, the tarot to me is the tool for developing my intuition, and one of the intensives that we do at Heartland during the summer is intuitive development and tapping in and learning to access our intuition and getting in tune with that. I spent a little time with the tarot, and I liked Wanless's deck, the Voyager Tarot, because it had some really nice images and all. And I got pretty good with it and did a few readings for some folks. And it's a fine tool that I have that I may fall back on once in a while. Now, what's key in that is clearing out anything that I have in me that's going to block or distort my understanding and reception of my intuition. Because if I've got some stuff in me that is going to inhibit a clear connection to my intuitive faculties, I'm going to get garbage, just like the computer program. Put garbage in, get garbage out. So the key for me was cleaning up any stuff I've got that is less than love, is the term that we use, or any type of corrupt data that I have in my system that's going to allow me then to tap into any multiple sources of intuition, intuitive type information that I can use and benefit from. And what David's pointing you back at is the worksheet. The reality management worksheet is one of the most effective tools that I've found that helps us to clean up any corrupt data we've got running through our system, and then we're able to tap into that intuitive level at a much finer and higher basis and come and step into that and understand that we're getting good information, And part two of your question on the cleanse is that on doing any type of cleanse, depending on what your level of participation in something like that is you want to have someone, a coach that can go along with you and guide you and help you through that process. And one of the pieces that is offered at Heartland, or what's integrated into the intensive, is that there's a cleansing process that goes on. There's 3 days of juice fasting. We do the live food, and you're in an environment, and Dr. Ryce is there. He has doctorates in holistic medicine and in naturopath naturopathic medicine and holistic psychology. So he's got the real experience there to give you the kind of support you're going to need to go through some detoxing and cleansing. And you have the tools to use at the same time to take that to a level that really gets some great results for you.
Okay. I understand what you both are saying about doing the worksheet and stuff, because I actually think that I do have some emotional things and stuff, and maybe some anger, I guess, that maybe putting up blocks for me, and that was part of that's what I was wondering about when I was going forward with my journey. See, when I was doing the tarot, I think that I am getting answers, but some I'm getting different answers than what I thought was going on. So I started to become unsure, and I also believe that I have healing abilities. And I called into another show with your switchboard runner, Amy, and they actually helped me out a lot with their advice. And so, what they told me about that, I've decided that I wanted to do a cleanse, try to get rid of all emotional stuff. I was going to put myself on this kind of program, but I didn't know if I was, headed in the right direction. I know because people tell me that things happen in divine timing, that everything is in order, at all times. So I'm like, am I just trying to push or force something that is not going to happen? And I was just going through a whole bunch of stuff, and I wasn't unsure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's exactly the process for everyone. We call it a healing crisis in this language here, and what that means is that whenever that I start to increase the vitality, when you do a cleanse, getting rid of the toxins from different chemicals and diets and so forth, then what happens is that the body starts to revitalize itself. When it revitalizes itself, and I'll use an example of a meter from 1 to 10, let's say that in 10 being the highest level of vitality, when you start to vitalize the body again, then what happens, it automatically starts to look at things that have been hidden. Let's say that your vitality is at a 4, and you begin to do a cleanse, and you have some things that are buried at a 5 or a 6 on this meter. When you start to vitalize the body, it raises the level of energy, and then the mind says, oh, you know that thing that you didn't look at? Here's what it is, and it then shows up for you. Then all of a sudden what most people experience is, wow, I'm feeling worse now. Michael talks about that. One of the things that you can tell whether you're in a healing crisis or a disease crisis, or healing process, is that have you been doing more of the right things? Have you hit a new level of high, a new level of energy? And if so, then you wake up the next morning and you feel like you've been hit by a Mack truck. Well, what happens is that your vitality got up there, and then there was this information that was exposed to you. Now the body has to catch back up again because that toxin is being released from there. So it's advisable to have support around, as Terry was talking about, when we do the intensives, whether we're doing this as a group. If you're going to be doing this, you choose to do this. I invite you to get a partner, so when I say a partner, a friend, someone that's possibly doing this work, and to use that as your level of support and energy. Often what we find
David and Amy, this is Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we have Dr. Michael Ryce on area code 954. Michael, are you there?
I am here. Surprise, surprise.
Oh, okay.
So he's been on hold and then texted me. I was out. I had to hurry him get back to the internet.
I had no idea we'd have phone service service in San Juan, Puerto Rico, but they've got AT&T, so here we are, and I thought I'd call in. Great answers to the questions, guys. One of the things that we might add to the discussion is you might want to check out a book if you're doing some physical cleansing. There's an excellent book called Tissue Cleansing Through Bowel Management by a fellow named Bernard Jensen. And he gives several different simple cleanses right on up to what I consider to be the ultimate cleanse of the body, which is being done by a man named V.E. Irons called the Klima process. But you might want to check that out. And also there's Stanley Burroughs, Lemon Diet. What's the name of his book? Terry, David, do you remember what it is?
The Master Cleanser.
The Master Cleanse. Yeah, that's an excellent cleanse to do. It's a 10-day lemon, cayenne pepper, and maple syrup.
I'm doing that right now. This is Carol. I'm on the Master Cleanse I started yesterday.
Aha. You're going to have fun. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I just started it. So, yeah, it's a great cleanse. I've done it before.
Good. Yeah, it is a really good cleanse, and I'm glad that you brought that up, Michael, because one of the things that I was going to mention was that as soon as you start to do that, the body will go through a certain process. And again, if there's someone there to support you in processing through that, and what Burroughs says in his book is that you should read that book at least once all the way through before even taking it on, because there are so many things that start to surface from it, and if people aren't conscious and working with someone about having an understanding of it, then the mind will just like, what am I doing this for? This is crazy. I remember the first time that I ever did that he was recommended to tell no one about it except someone that was familiar with it. And so I kept it quiet with the exception of telling my roommate at the time and my housemate and my friend that I was doing this, because he had never heard of anybody doing this, to go 10 days on this particular fast. And he told me after I did this that he was concerned that any time that he would wake up, that if he went to my bedroom and knocked on the door, that I was going to be dead in there, because he had not heard of it. He truly did. Now, I never told anyone about this until the 9th day when I did it. And people were they came out with hysteria. A couple of people did. That's crazy. You're going to die. You need to go to the doctor. You had it. All of this stuff. So in addition to doing the work, to doing the physical work, the mental work, the emotional work, if there's other people out there that aren't, if someone isn't there to support it, someone will be there in order to give you advice that may be harmful as well. So find someone that will support you in doing the fast as well as doing the work. And of course, that's why we recommend that people enroll in building brain cells, that they find a support group, that they connect with someone out there that's doing the work. For on our own, it's very difficult. And you might want to consider coming to the intensive, anyone, because doing the intensives is what takes it to another level, and you get to accelerate through lots of things very quickly.
And there's that wonderful African proverb that says, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Community of support and people who are moving in the same direction certainly accelerate the process. And, cleansing, the modern mind tends to be more oriented toward, what we need if we're sick is we need a drug. And actually, if you've gotten caught in that trap, then one of the things you're going to need to detoxify from is the drugs themselves. And so detoxifying the body and opening the pathways that tend to get blocked up if we're eating, the SAD diet, which is the standard American diet, fried food, sugar, desserts, everything, dead, cooked to death, processed, canned. There's only one dietary regimen. The human body's been shown to be absolutely amazing what it can adapt to. But there's only one dietary regimen that consistently kills people when they start to use it, and that's the SAD diet, the standard American diet. Consistently kills people, creates heart attack, high cholesterol, emphysema, diabetes. I mean, the list is just endless. And so trying to take a different path than what the culture does. And, of course, the culture is, there's a $50 billion a year industry that tells us what we should put in our mouths, and it's run by Madison Avenue, and it's all done in very slick ways to brainwash us into thinking that this culture has the most awesome food and the most awesome medical practice in the world. Well, I think we're something like number 49 so-called civilized countries in terms of preventable deaths in America. Excuse me, folks. We may spend the most, but we're just not nearly the best. We're way off target. And if we start to really look at and take care of ourselves, there's a whole different experience to be had. And of course, this radio show is to have that ongoing support. If you don't have a support group in your town or one hasn't started yet, think about starting one. But, we've got 5-day-a-week support from 2 to 3 in the afternoon every day to support you to do that process of awakening, opening, and cleansing.
Yeah, and might I add, Michael, I've been watching this video called Killer at Large, Why Obesity is America's Greatest Threat. And I recommend that anyone take a look at that movie, and it will explain in detail of what Michael was just talking about the culture that we live in and how it's even arrived at this. It's a great wealth of information and support in making something change. Pardon me?
What was the name of the movie you just mentioned?
It's Killer at Large. Why
Killer at Large?
Killer, K-I-L-L-E-R, at large. Why obesity is America's greatest threat. And it started out, I love what this guy we talked about because he was the Surgeon General, and he said, we're doing all of this stuff to terror about terrorism, and the terror is within, and it begins with the thoughts that go on, and then how the brain then is triggered into eating because it's in terror. And that's what's being promoted out there through the food industry by creating terror. And then the brain automatically takes over when it's kind of in that fight or flight, flight, freeze, or breathe, then it then wants to eat, and then it's eating all of the wrong things. Anyway, this movie really depicts it very well, and it's just come out. It's only been out for a year or so.
And the other tool, of course, that we want to put in front of you is the forgiveness process, because if our structure has been filled with this whole terror thing of fear, and it starts, for most people, right while they're in utero, if that terror starts to get structured in. And if you go to www.whyagain.com, on the right-hand side, you'll see a thing that says Download Worksheet. Pick up a copy of the Reality Management Worksheet, the 7-step. And there's a set of instructions there, a free download of Chapter 24 from my book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And it will give you the tools with which to detoxify yourself mentally. And when you combine and detoxify the mental and emotional, along with doing some form of physical detoxification, it accelerates immeasurably the whole process and puts you in a better position to have a clear vehicle through which to experience and express. A vehicle that's filled. When they say vehicle, I mean the body-mind unit. We can have a symphony playing. Let's say we've got this wonderful FM station that puts out this high-def signal with this fabulous Chopin music, and I can listen to that music through a $10 transistor radio, and I'll be listening to Chopin, and I can be listening to that Chopin through a $10,000 stereo system. There's going to be a difference depending on the instrument it's being listened at. And most of us, our instruments have been so filled with hostility and fear, and our culture is so filled with hostility and fear that the instrument is totally jaded. The instrument is just jammed up. It's filled with garbage. And the difficulty, and of course we say this over and over again in this show, if you ever wanted to find what human life is, hold a newborn. And everybody everywhere on the planet answers that the essence of the newborn is love, that's the words that describe that newborn are always some variation on the theme of love, because we all know exactly what human life is, and your physiology is a device. It is an instrument. It's designed to embody your human life. And so it needs to be cleansed and have the garbage removed so that it moves out of the $10 transistor radio category into the $10,000 stereo system. And when we've removed all hostility and fear, we embody, we express, we are the embodiment of love, and that's when human life really starts. Until then, we actually don't even have human life operating.
And someone actually has written in the chat room, Patrick says there's another great book that's called Surviving America's Depression Epidemic by Bruce Levine. I wanted to add that.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, Gabriel, is that helping you?
Yeah, it does.
Awesome. Gabriel, if you grab that worksheet, we'd be delighted to hear back from you, a week or two down the road, and how the worksheets are going and how your cleansing process is going, and any support we can be, we'll absolutely be there.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to do that reality management worksheet. But real quick, the book that you called Tissue Cleansing, you said it was by Bernard who?
Jensen, Tissue Cleansing Through Bowel Management, Bernard Jensen. And he goes through, I forget now, in years since I've read it, but 7 or 8 different cleanses, from a really simple one that you can do on your own, right up to a full-time, week-long process. It's the most awesome cleanse process I've ever seen.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to try these and, we'll see what happens. But thanks for your guys' help.
Okay, thanks for calling, Gabriel.
Thanks.
And David, Patrick wants to know if you received his email.
I did receive his email, and Patrick is one of the folks that has been on here on several times, and he's playing the game Building the Brain Cells, and was here 2 years ago in an intensive, and he's got some really good insights of where he's at and where he's going with it. As a matter of fact, he's talking about coming here and taking up residence with that. And so I know there wasn't a real direct question that you had, Patrick. And Amy, do we have anyone else out there that does have a question at this time, or do you know?
There's two callers in here, but they don't have their hand raised. So if you do want to for me to let you on the switchboard, you need to press the number 1 on your phone, on your keypad, and that'll show your hand being raised, but not right now, so you can continue talking.
Okay. Michael, you still there?
I certainly am, yes, sir. I'll be here for the next half hour with you guys, and then when you're complete with the call, I'll call you both, and we'll get a conference call going. And as I said, I had no idea that as I'm sitting here in the square in sunny San Juan, Puerto Rico, that I'd have cell phone service.
Well, it is good to hear you on there, having you on, and I was thinking, for the folks that don't know it out there, that Michael and Jean put in so much time and energy, and it is their reward in order to do that. And I was thinking, wow, it's really great that you're kind of letting go of things, of giving yourself that space. And I thought about you this morning. I said, you know what? It's impossible, though, to take a break from doing this work, because this is, as Micah says, what else is there to do? And having certain amount of different projects and things to go on, I was thinking about you. I was hoping that you and Jean were really kind of taking it easy. And it's just difficult to resist sharing this when people are eager and want to listen. It's so much fun to hear people like Gabriel that call in, that, well, what can I do? What can I do? And, that level of willingness and the cosmic grace is that I know that there are people that are listening. There have been lots of people that I've talked with, and I know that Michael has talked with, and this makes sense to them. And how is it that they apply it in their life, like Gabriel was talking about? and to be willing to ask a question, to be willing to follow some instructions to create some different results. You know, the definition of insanity, to keep doing the same thing over and over and expect to get different results, and that's from one of the smartest people I think that most people will acknowledge, was from Einstein. So what is it that we want to do differently? And what is it that Paul says, Michael? The things that I would do, I do not do, and the things that I wouldn't do, I do. So
actually, the word he used was the things which I hate are what I do. And because he didn't have, unfortunately, an understanding of the tool of forgiveness. And let me share, as you're talking about our travels, you know, just before we left, Wednesday night before we left on this trip, we did a Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop. It was an abbreviated one. It was about a 2-hour workshop at, interestingly enough, the Holocaust Museum in Fort Lauderdale. And a friend had introduced me to the rabbi from that congregation who meets there every Wednesday night for a wisdom class, and he invited me to come and speak at it. And the energy, the opening, the healing in that space was so awesome and so powerful. And I've been doing this work, cleansing, doing it all for the last 40 years. And the next morning I started into a major cleanse, started into a major opening, and that's led to some interesting physical symptoms and movement of energy related, interestingly enough, to my dad. So I'm getting to look at some stuff there, and actually as a result of that, with this journey I've spent some time writing, and you know, I've been working on a new book. And there's some new material that's come through as a result of all of that. So the process is just an ongoing, and my experience is it just gets more exciting every day in every way. It's awesome to see how things open, how things move, and have the willingness to embrace the cleanse and the healing when it comes, and to move through and out the other side. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. And I'd like to make a comment around that, is that one of the attractions that I had to this work and to Michael was that as a teacher, as a person that is making himself available to this work to everyone, is the standard and the level of integrity that you use in doing your own work. For when I first met you and first came to an intensive, and you said words to the effect that if anyone has put you on a pedestal, well, then please knock it over and turn it into a ladder and use it to climb rather than to put someone on a pedestal. And so often in my work that I have fallen into that, as to make someone bigger than life, and or to not do so much what it is that they do, just to admire what it is and talk about the work that they do. And what I so thoroughly love about you is that you practice what it is that you're teaching, and you're walking the walk. And for that, I'm grateful, and I'll let you know I hear a different level of sound coming from you today than I've ever heard before.
Yeah, it is an interesting process, and when you realize the enormity of the task that we take on when we decide I'm going to face, deal with, and heal everything in my bloodline. And, people think, well, okay, I got $5 in 5 minutes. Am I finished yet? And no, it's a lifetime of work, because, the whole imagery that we see in our minds comes from generations and generations of stored information in this body-mind unit, and we can live in that dream, the awake, what they call the awake state. When people open their eyes in the morning, they look out through their eyes and they see what's in their bedroom. We say they're seeing what's there, And the truth is they're not seeing what's there. They're seeing what their mind images out of what's stored in it that's resonated by what's there. And, when somebody shows up that resonates wonderful things in us, we think they're wonderful. And when somebody shows up that resonates rotten things in us and we feel rotten, then we think they're rotten. And the truth is, the wonderful is inside of us. It's all smoke and mirrors, and the rotten is inside of us if that's what we're feeling. But most of the world and most of the culture has a language of denial, dissociation, and projection. I deny this is mine. I see it in my brain, therefore it must be about you because I'm looking at your body, and your body is obviously causing me to feel this. And the minute that we attach feelings to a body out there, to an event out there, we just gave away all of our power. Feelings are reflections of content of our own minds. And when you recognize that, the layers and layers and layers and layers that we need to go through to clean it up. If you think about your generations and the rages and the fears and the griefs and the pains, that's all born and bred in us. That's where our perceptual mind gets its data. And the idea, tying back to the idea of the instrument, the idea is to cleanse the instrument of everything that's unlike human life so that the instrument perceives through human dynamics, and the human dynamics are through love. We're not designed to perceive through hostility and fear. And we get back to that. Having done the work, we upgrade the instrument, and life becomes such a totally and completely and awesomely different experience. It's just, it's almost unfathomable. And that's what we're here to support people in doing rather than just living out the generations. That story about the Jews wandering in the desert in the Old Testament is not about some old fogies 2,000 years ago. It's about us wandering unconsciously. And most people wander about 40 years in their hostility and fear before they start going, let me think here. I've been through this 87 different times with 42 different people. Oh, my God, maybe I'm involved in my life. Maybe this is about me. Then I realized my work is to get rid of the generations. That is, the root of the word generation, genari. It means cause, all of the old causes held within my own physiology. If I want to stop experiencing that in my physiology, in my emotions, and in my mind, then what I need to be about doing is forgiving, removing those things.
Yeah, and one of the things that, as you said that, Michael, it registered with me is that usually when a person first begins doing this, is that in itself, to have the thought about removing everything generational, and you talk about that there's layers and layers and layers, my dissociated mind wants to come up with, oh, gee whiz, I'm not willing to look at that. There's no reason, and I'm not willing to go through that work in order to live the life that I so say that I desire to have. And the truth is that I'm going to be dealing with it one way or another on an energetic level. And once that I have trained my mind, disciplined my mind properly, then I can move through that rather quickly. I noticed that you talked about that you had this healing crisis, and it sounds to me like that within 24 hours that you were processed through that, and now you're seeing things at a higher level, and that in itself is the reward in doing the work.
And, David, it's actually been about a 3-day, almost 4-day, very intense physiological process that I continue to move through and continue to process through. And, as I've said before on the show many times and say in my workshops, healing is not Dr. Feelgood. It's not fun to allow your structure to go through what it's been hiding, what you've been hiding from yourself all your life. But as you let go of those things and awaken, your instrument upgrades, and it just, the whole game becomes such a different process. It's just awesome.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Are you still with us?
I think Terry hung up.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Yeah, well, And, another thing I wanted to add on to that when we were talking about support and so forth, that as we have the support, and we are connected with someone else that's doing their work, then and we're doing it together, our level of vitality increases to where there were things that on my own I'm not able to look at because my vitality level isn't there. With someone else, that joint vitality level allows things to be healed and processed through quicker and more of.
Yeah, this whole healing crisis for me started Wednesday night, and the workshop was probably energetically one of the highest workshops I've ever done. This support space, this group, and it was an interesting place to be doing it and talking about forgiveness in the context of the Holocaust, and we're in the Holocaust Museum. But the recency and the support of the group that was there was absolutely awesome. And I went to a level of energy I don't think I've ever been at. I mean, David, when you speak in front of a group, Terry, when you speak in front of a group, you know when you're on. Well, I was about 300% on as I've ever been. It was just fabulous. And then that new level of vitality opened up physically a whole new level of cleanse. And, one of the things I've been very fortunate with over the years is my body usually cooperates with me and gives me time to do it. So here we start that on Wednesday. And Friday we're going on a 7-day cruise where I've pretty much got time to rest and write and just take quiet time. And I have been doing just a huge amount of that. One of the biggest things, and speaking to our first caller, that's missing in our culture is just when you're in that process, when you're in the cleanse, when you're in the healing, is to take the time to rest. And resting when you're in a process means that your structure is taking things apart and having to reassemble them. It takes a huge amount of energy to do that, to clean out the chambers of this physiology and then to rebuild them to a new level of strength and a new level of vitality. And, I can feel, although the process still goes on for me, and as I say, it started Thursday morning. Wednesday night was so high in energy, and it started Thursday morning, and it still goes on physically, and I can tell where there are places in my structure that have had weakness previously, though I'm still in this, major physical structural change. There are places where I can feel a vitality on a tissue level that I've never felt there before. And I've been doing this work for 40 years, so I'm pretty well acquainted with my body and what it goes through. And so it's pretty awesome to see how, as we elevate and we have, a community that supports us being elevated, how we elevate to new levels and get to process through new layers.
I was thinking, I agree with you 100%. I was thinking about the scale of learning, of how we experience and how we learn. And the more that, they say that we tend to remember of our level of involvement, 10% of what it is, we remember 20% of what we hear, 30% of what we see and hear and so forth. And then 90% of what we both say and do, doing a dramatic presentation, simulating the real experience and doing the real thing. And to me, that's what this process is about, is the more that I'm out there putting it out there, then the more that I'm able to process through and then to experience and to take it to another level. So thank you very much for that. And if anyone has any questions or any thoughts, comments that they would like to make, or maybe even come into asking some questions. I'm looking here for what it is that I'm supposed to say.
There's one comment in the chat room that Patrick says, well said, David. about what you were speaking about 5 or 10 minutes ago.
Oh, okay, great. So if there's anyone else, it's 646-200-4169. We have a few more minutes, and Dr. Michael Ryce is on the line, so that's wonderful that he's going to be here for the rest of the call. And tomorrow, just to get it in for this moment, is going to be a recording. Is that correct, Michael?
Yes. Tomorrow's call is recorded, and they'll be broadcasting it on WWNN in South Florida, 1470 AM radio. You can tap in if you're in South Florida between 2 and 3 o'clock. And we're going to be talking about still waiting for your ship to come in. Which one did you send out? So that will be our conversation tomorrow on Blog Talk Radio and WWNN. We're running those two shows concurrently. And then I don't anticipate at Speed David that I'm going to have a phone on Wednesday, so the show will be all up to you and Terry. And Thursday, Friday, as far as I know, I'll be back on Friday.
Okay. Sounds wonderful. We hold the space for you and Jeannie to have such a fabulous time and to keep doing what it is that you do so well. Did Terry make it back on?
I don't see him.
Okay, he was traveling, and so my guess is that he must have just got out of range at some place with that.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Yep.
Okay.
You there? Hello, Terry.
Hey, yeah,
Hi,
I'm
Terry.
here, guys. Yeah, I blipped off there for a few minutes, but I'm back on. Listen.
Good. Any closing remarks or thoughts, Terry?
Nothing's coming up for me right now. Nothing's coming up.
Well, Terry, one of the things you might throw in, you've done quite a bit of work with cleansing and detoxification. You might share a little bit about your experience from that perspective.
Well, I can share. I was getting when I was probably somewhere along where Gabriel was looking at different. There's some background noise too.
I'll tell you what, I'm in a noisy place, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign off, so you guys will have a clearer signal. It's getting a little noisier here. I'm in a tourist area in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and it's getting a little noisy. So I'm going to sign off and send my love, and we'll talk to you later.
All right.
Hold the space for the time you're yet of your eternal lives.
Okay. We'll talk with you after. Okay. Terry?
Yes. Okay.
You were saying?
I'm doing the Master Cleanse for the first time. I used it to clear out some fatty tumors that started appearing on my body, and I started to do some cleansing work, and these lumps were appearing on my body, and I went to the doctor. The doctor sent me to a surgeon, which I thought was kind of weird, and the surgeon said, "Oh, I think I know what that is," and set me in the chair and numbed my arm up and cut one out, and I was kind of in shock because I wasn't prepared for that, and he pulls it out and flicks it over into a stainless steel bowl and says, "Oh, those are fatty tumors." He says, "Some people just get them, and once you start to get them, you just have them the rest of your life. There's not really anything that'll hurt you." He says, "You can just live with them, or I'll take them out for you, $100 a piece, so your choice." And I'm in shock, and I said, "What? There's got to be another solution to this." And I started on some cleansing regimes and all with, I was using Fit for Life, Harvey Diamond's guide on transitioning from the cooked dead foods to a lot more liver, wholesome diet. And then I came across the Stanley Burroughs Master Cleanse and started on that. And I actually did it for 39 days, which was a long time. And my mind wouldn't let me go that 40th day. That was my goal, but I just didn't have it. But by the end of that 39 days, all of the tumors were gone. They had completely been eliminated from my body. And they've never come back. And that was about 12 or 13 years ago. and it was just a build, of a life. I come from North Carolina in the country, and we grew up eating biscuits and gravy and sausage and pork and ham and all that stuff. So my take on it is that just accumulated to a certain level where the body had to do something with it, so it started taking that excess fat and storing it in these little tumor pockets, because it couldn't catch up with all the stuff that I had deposited into my body. So when I gave it a chance to reverse and to eliminate that, gone.
Yeah. Well, I think you're going to really like this movie that I was just talking about, Killer at Large, Why Obesity is America's Greatest Threat. And they're talking about that it's the greatest threat versus any of the terrorist things that are being broadcast out there. As a matter of fact, those things are accentuating it. And the part of the program was talking about just what you were referring to about those fatty tumors and the different things that are being built into the young people today. The onset diabetes and diabetes 2 with young people, it's just alarming. It really is alarming. And this program really depicts what is real, what's the truth, what's going on out there. And we're always willing and eager, and it's one of the things that I've learned, that any time that I'm having a challenge with dealing with some emotional things and or physical things, the best thing for me to do is fast. And as Terry knows that here at Heartland, part of what we do is that we may wake up one morning and say, I need to fast today. I need to fast for the next 3 days, or just take it as it comes to see what goes on, because the fasting is what really sets up the place for the healing to happen much quicker. So let's see. I'm not sure. How much time do we have? We're getting close.
4 minutes.
4 minutes. Oh, okay.
3 minutes.
Well,
3 minutes now.
Pardon me?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay. Well, we would like to invite folks to go to the website, www.whyagain.com, and you can download the book, download the worksheets. There are guides for all of the worksheets. There's different support groups around there, and that's what this program, it is the Mind Shifter, and the purpose of Mind Shifting is to uncover the things that are in the unconscious, to bring it to the conscious, so that then we can look at that and then make a choice coming from our highest intelligence to see if we want to see it differently. Once we see something differently, we see it for the truth, we can never even go back and see it the other way again. It's like growing up, the way that it is. I remember when I was a child, I looked at the street that I lived on, that it was this huge, gigantic street. And then when I went and visited it 20 or 30 years later, it's like, wow, this did not look the same. And the visions that I had of it as a child are no longer there, because I've seen it from an adult's eyes. And a lot of this process for me is about me letting go of the ways that I've developed it as a child, the way that I saw it, and the way that it's been passed on to me generational, so that I can look at it new, a new mind. So if you're interested in creating a support group in your area, it's simple, and we will support you in doing that. There's some guidelines and instructions on the website if you're interested in that, and or you can contact Terry or myself or anyone else that has one of the Mind Shifters groups and get their input if you're interested in doing that type of work. So we will be back on Wednesday live here, and if you have some questions or thoughts, if you'd like to email myself or Terry, if you want to go to the website and contact us about some questions or something that you'd like to discuss on the radio show for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, then please let us know, and we will chat about them. Terry, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I'm good, Dave. I'm going to sign off.
Okay, my friend. I think Michael is going to give us a call here in a few minutes, so if you'll just be aware of that.
Okay.
And Amy, how are you doing?
I'm good. We got about 5 seconds left. It was a great show.
Thank you so much, and I support you in doing your plans. Let me know how I can support you, okay?
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.